ever think I would live through a pandemic. No, I didn't. I didn't really think about something like this happening in my life nor in anyone else's life to begin with. I think I would consider my worst day throughout the pandemic is my mother. When she came home, she works in the healthcare. She works as a nurse in a hospital. It was the day she came home, and she was telling us that we weren't going to be able to see her for a couple of weeks because she has to deal with COVID patients, and she didn't want to get me nor my sister sick, so we had to stay with our grandmother for a few days. That has got to be one of the worst. During the pandemic, I learned how people reach out because they see someone in need. I know that in most times, most people would look around and they see that you're in need and they wouldn't care. But I think that since this was something that was new to everyone just wanted to help as much as they can. So I know people started like giving away food, any extra food they had. They'd let strangers live in their house for a while they were out on the streets. So I know people started opening up their houses and giving away utensils. The way I wanted to protest George Floyd and stay safe, I myself wasn't allowed to go to any protests because my mother feared that something might happen to me and my sister. If we had went, we could have gotten hurt or we could have gotten sick. So for me personally, I stayed home and I did my research on the case. I supported through Instagram, any like Instagram posts and donations, stuff that were going to his family. I supported in that way. For me personally, I don't think that we should be identified as the lost generation. I think we are probably we could be considered a strong generation, the way that our lives were upholded and we had to stop everything we were doing to go sit inside our houses from this pandemic. We've all lost a lot. We've lost time to just be ourselves and to grow. We've kind of had to sit inside and be by ourselves for a year or two. So I think for us to come back and be just put into like all these social norms and stuff is kind of hard, and I think that we're trying our best. So I think instead of being a lost generation, I think we're a strong generation. Things that have mattered most to me that have changed the pandemic, I think stuff started losing their sentimental value to me once I started seeing how other people's like lives have gone, how they've lost nothing. I mean, how they lost everything, and I'm still here with the same stuff I've had since the beginning. I think that I had to go through like a lot of like stuff mentally and sort things out. So what really holds sentiment and what really doesn't. So I kind of like put everything to my mind. Do I really care for this? Do I really need this? And yeah, that's what it is. The pandemic was a tragic thing that happened to everyone, and we just need to try and get back, not well to the normal, but we need to try to be there for one another. We need to try to be more understanding. We just need to be better and learn to use our empathic abilities.
I would never have guessed that I would ever have to see a pandemic in my lifetime. My worst day during the pandemic was the first day that I ever found out that we had to be going on lockdown, because I never think that after 2 weeks we would end up spending another year actually still in lockdown. I think that it is true that we don't have a lot of opportunities to go out anymore because we don't feel a sense of safety like we used to, like taking public transportation and things like that. If we're like too young to drive, it makes us scared for who's around us and what they could have. My life has changed since the pandemic because a lot of things aren't the same. Like education-wise, I realized that I wasn't as strong in my academics, and I was also very less social with people, and I was more reserved and kept to myself. During the pandemic, I found things to be good, to feel good about myself, because I had a lot of family in my household to support me and to and to give me a sense that I wasn't alone through everything that was going on. And even if I couldn't see my friends, I knew that I still had my family. Well, my comment on the fact that people are not only dying because of COVID, but from it, is that it can be a lot to take in when you find out that you or somebody else you know or love has COVID. And I myself have witnessed many family members nearly practically die of it. But it's also more of a sense that maybe going to the doctor or going to the hospital and spending time in that environment can make you more at risk of having it. But it's like either way, that's why we just have to take precautions, because you never know anymore. I believe that in a case like a pandemic, teamwork is very important, because even if you're scared, it is important that you take care of yourself and you help in any way possible for your community, because that can be your mother, your sibling, your father, whoever, or even a friend even. And if a family is in need, you know that if you help them, you will receive the same things back. I don't think that calling my generation the lost generation is an adequate term, because if you think about it, a year and a half is a lot, but it's not like we had 5 years taken away from us or more. And like the fact that I'm still in high school and I haven't finished high school virtually, it gives us a chance to bring back what we were before the pandemic and show people that the pandemic is not going to ruin us, and that we're going to keep moving forward regardless of what happens or comes in the way. Something that has changed in my life since the pandemic has basically been that I've realized how much more important school is and how much I have to try to focus. And I've also realized that I've also learned how to, in a way, because of the fact that that we had to social distance and we didn't have time to spend with people and stuff, I also learned how to do what is best for myself and to motivate myself in life, even when things are hard, because during the pandemic, a lot of people couldn't be there for ourselves. So I just learned how to better take care of myself. And in times where we couldn't do anything when we were in the house, I learned to be productive and stay motivated in life.
That it's more fragile than you expect, so we have to really try and take more care of what's going on, because anything at any moment, it can rip something in society or in our whole planet and affect everyone else, because we lose every part of each other if we don't really realize it.
Tell me about your worst day during the pandemic.
My worst day during the pandemic? It feels so long ago, but it's so recent. It was probably when it was about to be my 16th birthday. So I didn't get to have a sweet 16 or a quince because I was really waiting for my sweet 16. So I asked my dad if we could still try to do something because COVID was kind of letting up. So we did, we tried, but it wasn't really the memorable night that I wanted. So that was one thing from my childhood that really affected me during quarantine and COVID. I think that a lot of people see that COVID has taken a lot of lives from mainly because of this virus, but they're not seeing the standpoint where it affected a lot of people's mental health, where a lot of people's mental health has been deteriorating, and it's been taking a lot of people's emotional support systems. So it's affected a lot of people mentally and physically, where they can't get up every day. They're just bedridden, or they can't do the normal things they do, like go out. Some people couldn't work out for a while, and that affected a lot of people's mental health. So not only did the virus take a lot of people's lives because of this virus, but it also is affecting so many more because it's here. There was rarely any hope because I didn't really, even though I lived with some of my family members, I felt like we still had to stay distant because my grandfather was coming back and forth from Long Island, and so he works as an electrician, so he would be in people's homes, and then he would have to be worried about getting sick and then bringing it back to us. And then I had to move because they were doing renovations on my home, so I had to stay in a hotel. So there was a lot of times and chances where me and my family could have gotten sick, but it was more of, I tried to say that, like, you know, we stay close, we're not hanging around a lot of people, try to hope that everything would become the best. And there were some sad moments because I've lost some relatives over the quarantine, so it did affect me, but I just tried to be like, you know what, at least it didn't take as many family members as we would have assumed, which I'm thankful for, but there were some times that I lost hope because it took some family members. A lot of my younger cousins were out doing the protesting, and I came for one or two events where they protested actually right near my house because I live near Englewood's police station. So there were times where my family was too worried to let us out because they were more concerned that we would get shot and killed instead of the COVID, because again, going back into history where they've tear gassed people that protest, and we're hearing that people are just rioting and not using the Black Lives Matter for what it's really about, and just getting shot and killed or detained for really ridiculous reasons. So families were more of, you shouldn't really do it because of the outcome of how people react instead of the COVID. We weren't too worried about COVID, more of what people might do to us instead. I feel like it's more of a mixed thing because we did lose a lot of things. A lot of students lost some of their childhood and some of their memories that they wanted to build as they grow up. Like for me, for instance, I didn't get to have my Sweet 16. That was supposed to be part of my culture, and I didn't get to have that because COVID took it away from me. So that was an upsetting thing, and I lost that. And I can't get that back, but all I could do is move forward. But I also would say it's a good thing because we're not completely lost. We still have all these memories that other people might not have had in their generation. So it's still a unique thing towards us. But I wouldn't technically give us the name Lost Generation because we're not officially lost. We're still here. We just don't have some of the memories that other people got. So we're more of a unique generation.
Good.
To answer this question, I would say ever since youth people have told our generation that you are the future generation, you are going to be the future leaders, you're responsible for all of this, and especially because of COVID, we are technically responsible to let our voices be heard, especially with Black Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, LGBTQs, the hate and everything, because we are the generation that is absorbing everything. We're learning about the past and we're still moving forward, so we have the most impact, and even younger generations should learn from us. So that's why we need a lot of new teachers that understand and are fragile but still hard on students. So this future generation, these new doctors, these new therapists, these policemen, all of these that are going to be out there in this world when I become an adult, they're going to have a huge impact on the generation younger and after us, because we're going to have the most stories because we're going through the most. We're going to have all the information that they want, and we can teach them better because we learned from someone else, so we learn how to teach others from a different point of view.
The one message I would want everybody to really take from this documentary would just be to spread kindness. You're going to hear so many different stories, different life experiences, and through all of that, I think kindness and spreading love and just understanding in general is going to be what really helps everybody move forward in this world, because right now we're just living through hell. And in order to be able to get through hell, we really have to work together, and that doesn't happen without the teamwork.